From 400 feet over Clark, New Jersey, you can see the whole story in a single sweeping glance. There's a 17th century farmhouse, a revolutionary crossroads, and right next door, a modern grocery hub. What do you call a town that blends deep history, commuter logic, and everyday convenience so seamlessly? Some places might call it luck. Around here, we just call it home. This is Above the Streets with Prodigy Real Estate. Over the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to give you the complete flight plan for Clark. We'll look at how it got its name and where the revolution left its footprints. We'll explore how the architecture evolved from post-war classics to today's new builds. We'll cover what the schools offer, where locals actually hang out, and how new development is reshaping the map. By the time we land, you'll be able to decide if this small township should be your next big move. All right, let's get oriented. Clark is tucked neatly into southern Union County, and that major artery you see right there, that's the Garden State Parkway. We're right off exit 135. This location is Clark's quiet superpower. It sits in a perfect sweet spot between neighborhood calm and regional convenience. If your week zigzags from meetings in Manhattan to client visits in North Jersey and family time at the shore, Clark makes that entire triangle feel manageable. You've got the Parkway at your fingertips. You have nearby train stations in Cranford and Rahway, giving you flexible options for a city commute. Bus lines thread right through town on Westfield Avenue and Raritan Road. And Newark Liberty International Airport? It's close enough to keep business trips painless. In practical terms, that means less time planning your route and more time living your life. It's suburban ease with a true metropolitan reach, a combination that quietly and consistently drives demand for homes here, year after year. Names tell stories, and Clark's name carries a big one. The township honors Abraham Clark, a New Jerseyan who signed the Declaration of Independence. But that revolutionary DNA isn't just a trivia line. It's baked right into the landscape. Before it was incorporated in the 19th century, this was Lenape land. Then it became colonial farmland, sprinkled with small hamlets and homesteads. Clark stayed rural much longer than many North Jersey towns. And then, after World War II, everything accelerated. The Garden State Parkway cut its clean arc through the map, and the baby boom housing wave arrived. In just a couple of decades, Clark transformed into what you see today, these beautiful tree-lined blocks of Cape Cods, ranches, split levels, and center hall colonials. It's the architecture of mid-century optimism, scaled for real family life. That revolutionary thread is more than just symbolism, too. When you stand in a place like Oak Ridge Park or picture the old ash swamp that once stretched across this area, you're looking at ground woven into the movements of the 1777 Battle of Short Hills. Not far from here, the doctor, William Robinson Plantation, survives. Dating all the way back to the late 1600s, it's a rare time capsule from colonial New Jersey. It's humble by today's standards, but the moment you see those timbers, you feel the continuity. You realize this is a township whose past isn't in a museum behind glass. It's the living backdrop to the everyday. Clark wears its history lightly. It's there if you want to find it, but it never gets in the way of getting things done. So, what does everyday life look like here? It revolves around a few dependable anchors. Clark Commons is the modern convenience hub you see here. Groceries at Whole Foods, fitness, quick eats, everyday shopping. It's a one-stop shop. It's the kind of place that solves Tuesday night's dinner dilemma and Saturday morning's errands without a long list or a long drive. When you want green space, Oak Ridge Park opens up with broad lawns, winding walking paths, and sky for days. For golfers, Hyatt Hills brings a great 9-hole public course, a driving range, and even mini golf that keeps the kids smiling. In the summer, the Clark Community Pool is the town's heartbeat. It's part recreation, part reunion. And for a unique thread of community culture, the Deutscher Club hosts events that draw neighbors together in a way that feels wonderfully old school, in the best possible sense. For many families, schools are the deciding factor. Clark's public system forms a tight, convenient K-12 loop. 2 elementary schools, a middle school, and Arthur L. Johnson High School. Families often describe the district as close-knit and responsive. You'll find long-tenured educators, strong local pride, and plenty of chances for students to plug into sports, clubs, and the arts. As always, the smartest move is to tour the campus, ask questions, and review the latest performance reports to see how each school fits your student. Regional, private, and parochial options are also nearby if you're tailoring a specific path. The net effect is choice without chaos. Enough variety to match different learning styles, all within a compact township. We'll circle back to schools a bit later. Now let's talk architecture, the part you really feel as you drive from block to block. Clark is layered. You have that handful of colonial-era survivors anchoring the story. You have early 20th century holdovers that whisper about its rural past. But the defining fabric of the town is post-war. We're talking practical floor plans, generous yards, driveways perfect for bikes, and basketball hoops, all shaded by mature trees. Over the last decade, though, you can see a new chapter being written. Notice the teardowns and top-downs, turning smaller mid-century footprints into expanded colonials. They feature the open kitchens, larger primary suites, and finished lower levels that families want today. So, how does the market feel today? In a word, steady. Supply is tight, and demand is confident. The heartbeat of the market is the updated 1950s and 60s home, especially 3- and 4-bedroom models with finished basements and great backyards. Those move quickly. Turnkey colonials, whether they're recent rebuilds or thoughtful expansions, attract outsized attention and premium prices. What powers this resiliency is a simple equation: proximity plus predictability. You're watching Above the Streets with Prodigy Real Estate. If you're watching us here, so is your next buyer. Our aerial storytelling, market analysis, and digital engine are built to showcase neighborhoods and homes across New York and New Jersey. If Clark is on your radar, or if your property is about to be, let's turn this perspective into your advantage. Now, let's talk about what's new and next. Clark has been very intentional about shaping its growth. The township identified specific redevelopment areas, places where the infrastructure can support a little more height and density. You see this along Westfield Avenue. The goal here is balance. Protect the single-family neighborhoods that define Clark's identity while adding walkable, mixed-use pockets that bring fresh housing options and a small-town Main Street feel. Let's translate that into lived experience. Picture a Saturday. You roll out for a quick grocery run at Whole Foods, grab a coffee without a parking hassle, swing by the park for a few laps, and you still have the whole afternoon to host friends in the backyard. Your weeknights might include a middle school game, a quick 9 holes at Hyatt Hills as the sun drops, or an easy dinner out where someone in line probably knows your name. For commuters, the map is forgiving. For remote workers, that spare bedroom or finished lower level becomes an office that actually functions. That's the promise Clark makes, and more often than not, keeps. Buyers come to Clark with different missions, so let's talk through a few personas. First, the first-time buyers. They're looking for a smart entry into a great town. That might be a solid cape or ranch with good bones they can update over time, or maybe a townhouse or condo that keeps maintenance simple while they build equity. Clark has those entry points. Next, the move-up crowd. Their family is growing, and they need more space. They're hunting for those expanded colonials with 4 bedrooms, a kitchen that can host Thanksgiving, and a yard that earns its keep all summer long. Finally, we have the right sizers. They're done with stairs and raking leaves. They're prioritizing comfort and proximity over sheer square footage. For them, the newer elevator buildings or the well-managed, age-restricted communities are the perfect sweet spot, allowing them to stay in the town they love. The good news, Clark's spectrum of housing can serve each of these goals. You don't have to leave the neighborhood when your needs change. A quick word about schools again, because this piece can be a tiebreaker. The district scale is a quiet advantage. It's big enough to offer a wide range of opportunities, but small enough to feel personal. Families really appreciate that administrators and teachers are familiar faces year after year. Athletics and the performing arts have dedicated local followings, and you can feel that pride at the fields and in the auditoriums. Definitely do your own due diligence, but understand that the day-to-day experience of school is deeply woven into community life here. That fabric matters. One of the recurring questions we get is, does Clark have a downtown? The honest answer is, it has nodes instead of a single, historic Main Street. Clark Commons is the regional convenience node. For some, that's ideal. Errands are easy and parking is simple. If you crave a lantern-lit 19th century avenue, nearby towns like Westfield and Cranford, scratch that itch. And Clark's proximity means you can enjoy that aesthetic without paying the premium for it. Another common question, what's the commute really like? For drivers, the Parkway access is the headline. For train commuters, you're playing the two-step, a quick drive to the station in Cranford on the Raritan Valley Line, or to Rahway on the powerful Northeast Corridor Line. That flexibility is a huge asset. Our best advice is always the same. Test the exact route you plan to use, at the exact hour you'll use it. That 1-hour test run can save you years of frustration. Let's circle back to architecture, but this time with a buyer's eye. The mid-century homes here respond beautifully to thoughtful updates. Knock out a wall between the kitchen and dining room and the whole first floor breathes. Swap out old windows and the light completely transforms the space. Finish a lower level with proper egress and soundproofing, and you've just added a second living room you will actually use. Sellers, here's a quick playbook. First, timing. List when your specific house looks its absolute best. If your backyard is the star, aim for late spring. Second, storytelling. You're not just selling square footage, you're selling weekends and holidays. Stage it and describe it that way. And third, presentation. Professional photography, home tours, and aerial footage are not extras anymore. They are the standard for a competitive launch. Our job at Prodigy is to orchestrate those pieces, so your first impression is your best one. As we descend toward our landing, let's answer the biggest question: why Clark and why now? Because it's a place where the echoes of the revolution and a Whole Foods coffee run make sense in the same sentence. Because its post-war streets carry a kind of American normal that still feels good, and because those same streets are being carefully updated for modern life. Because the map respects your time, because the schools, parks, and community fabric keep you connected, and finally, because the housing stock gives you options at different chapters of your life so you can put down roots and actually let them deepen. This is Prodigy Real Estate, and this has been Above the Streets, Clark, New Jersey. If this aerial perspective helped you see the town more clearly, tap subscribe, drop a comment with your questions, and tell us which neighborhood you want us to fly over next. If you're planning a move, buying or selling in this area, let's put this storytelling, this data, and this altitude to work for you. Thanks for flying with us. We'll see you over the next town soon.